Everyone, welcome to Tangled Talks episode 1. We're here with the co-founders of Tangled, and I would like you all to introduce yourself. Just a short introduction. Rishabh, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rishabh Java. I'm one of the co-founders of Tangled.
I'm Khwahish Gulati. Same goes for me.
I'm Adityan Rajesh and I'm the head of design.
I'm Neil and I'm the CEO.
All right. So my name is Manav, and I'm going to be hosting today's podcast, and we're going to talk about something really interesting. We're going to talk about rule setters. I'll explain. Rule setters basically, okay, you might have experienced this in your school or in your university, whichever. The person goes through something, he or she does something really weird, and because of that, your principal or your supervisor comes to the school and he sets a new rule, which you
Right.
all hate. So we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to give you an example. This is a real life story, right? I was a part of the choir. Okay, that was back in like 10th grade or 9th grade. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I was a part of the choir. It was a sports day,
Uh-huh.
and we were on the stage singing the school song. And I was a good singer back then, not gonna lie. So I was really all out singing, and it was a sports day, so we were allowed to bring our phones. Okay, and apparently, halfway through the school song, my phone starts ringing. There's the chief guest, principal, supervisors, teachers, everyone are there. They're singing. I'm on the stage with the group, and the phone starts ringing. And the weirdest part is the ringtone. Do you want me somebody to lean on? And I'm just there singing, and I'm in attention singing, and for 2 seconds I was like, let me just ignore it. It's gonna shut off on its own.
Yeah.
But I had to take it out. I cut it, and 10 seconds later, it rings again. And this time, the principal looks at me with that look. I knew that he's going to kick me out of the school. I left the stage. I went backstage and I picked up the call, and I'm like, hello, what happened? My aunt, he's like, hello, Manav, where is your mom? I'm like, call on my mom's phone now. Why are you calling on my phone?
Brilliant.
Ever since that, the next day in the morning assembly, the principal comes and he's like, guys, formal reminder. Please don't bring your phones to school. And he puts a strict rule. He's like, guys, the next time I catch a phone in your hands, that's it.
Yeah.
So this was my story. I'm one of the big rule setters in my school. So this is just a story about me. And I want to open up the discussion. Did you all have any stories about you or anyone in your school that was really memorable and you're going to remember that for the rest of your life? Is there any story like that?
I think I can share one, but this wasn't me. It did not actually happen with me, nor was I involved. So it was just something that I heard. So this was our school's head boy, right? And he used to travel back and forth in a bus. He was a bus student, and it was like, I think one day they were going back in the bus, and they had got their phones, they had got speakers, and you look, they're dancing very well on the. I think what song was it? They're doing Nagin dance in the middle, in the center aisle of the. Everyone's on the floor dancing, and they're lying on the floor properly doing their Nagin dance, and they thought it's not going to be a big deal. They thought their cameras don't work. But next day in the morning, they have an assembly. The whole school is assembled there in front of the stage. The principal walks up and she's like, I have a very interesting clip for all of you all to see.
Wait,
Plays
does he
the
play it in the assembly?
bus recording on the in
So
the
whole
assembly
school-
on the presentation, and there is the head boy lying in the center of the aisle doing Nagin dance on the floor. Memorable moment this was.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh God. What was the reaction of the head boy? Like, what did he say? Was he like asked to come on stage? Please give us some reviews about the dance.
I wish.
all I know is उसके बाद से 12th graders को भी seat belt पहननी पड़ी. So yeah. So it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I remember from buses, right? Back then when we used to travel in buses, when we were like in 7th or 8th grade, we used to go back
Uh-huh.
whenever there was a bump coming in front.
Oh, yes.
We just
yes,
Oh,
went
yes,
back,
yes.
got
yes.
the
Let's
seats,
go.
and waited
Forget
for
back.
the ride.
Yeah.
Forget back. Okay, we used to do is that we used to have like 2, 3 bumps on our ride, and we used to like all sit at the back because we're now seniors and all, right? So we've been seniors almost all our lives.
Yeah.
So we used to hold our seats and stand and particularly jump when the bump is coming, so that we're actually in the air. And it used to like we used to get hurt and all because it used to be
I
that bad.
think this is why they installed seat belts in our buses. Like,
Yeah.
who wears
Yeah.
seat belts in our buses?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
you
God.
think that is bad. So like we had this big speed bump, this one major speed bump in front of the Lulu supermarket on our route home. Okay, so the whole idea behind a speed bump is so the driver slows down before the speed bump. But no, not our driver. He wants to go at thrice the speed. The bus is doing
Same with us.
every time he's going over the speed bump, and all the students in the back are trying for 7 seconds. So you can see the moment we go up, all of them jump up and they're screaming. Every bus
That
ride.
I mean, the
was
same thing used to happen to our school buses
yeah.
and these drivers too. So what we used to do is like I think it was in grade 5 or 4. So when the uncle is like going, other buses would be like in the same road, right? So it would be like, uncle, uncle, repeat that bus, uncle, uncle. But then one day, like a teacher was there, and we didn't spot her. Okay, she was in the back seat. We were telling like this, and she took our IDs, and the next day we were like real trouble. So, yeah,
Wait, in your school, teachers sat in the back seat?
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
That
didn't
in
is
know
so
about
senior
it. That's the
sad.
citizens,
best part.
Ours too.
that seat, those seats are supposed to be reserved for seniors.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's not like that.
exactly.
In our
Yeah,
school,
Yeah,
it's not like
it's
that.
always like
isn't
that.
that an unsaid rule?
No. In our
Yeah,
school, it
it
was
is a
very
rule.
clear. So there was girls at the back, boys in the front, and Lakshman Rekha was the teachers in the middle.
No.
Wow.
This rule came across very late. Okay, so
Yeah, first it will
this
be
was
like
something that
early, and the
Oh,
front it will be like kids and girls. In the back it will be boys,
yeah.
and in the middle it will be like nerds and teachers. For them.
Right. Right. So Adi, I'm
this
guessing
thing
you
used
sat
to
in the
be.
middle mostly, right?
No, come on, not like you.
Wow. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Being the good kid.
Neil agrees.
I mean, half
Yeah.
my life I was in the front, but then like I
Yeah.
think for the past 2 years I'm like in the back seat. So.
I'm gonna go ahead. Neil,
Yeah.
you wanna share any story that you've encountered about
Yeah,
rule
sure.
setters?
Okay, so basically, last year, yeah, it was last year around Diwali time. Like I was still in my hostel for the freshman year, and it was like at that time we used to smuggle all the crackers into the hostels just to mess with the warden. So there was this one time when my friend he just he could just hear the warden coming to his floor. Like he was scolding someone. I don't know for what reason, but it was more that guy. Like typically, he took I don't know what those bombs are called. I think it's called Luddy bomb or something. Like
Mhm.
the ones
Yeah.
that burst at an interval of
Yeah,
three
yeah,
to
yeah.
four seconds. So he literally took that bomb and bursted it near near the other guy's room, like the guy who was getting scolded. So it's like since that day, it was the warden there were new rules, and the warden got shit scared that he stopped going to that particular block. It was the seniors block, so he just literally he was never seen there again
The
after that
warden
day.
got scared.
Yeah, the warden got
What a
scared.
god scared.
That's so
Like
weird.
they
That's
were even
another
checking in that
level.
block. I mean, wherever they have to hide the substances or anything, they just hide in that block because that block is not being checked anytime.
That's how you
Literally.
want your warden
I'm
get
going to
scared of you.
college now. Now you've just given me tips of how to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That was not me, but yeah,
But I just want to ask a question, right? Do you
sure.
guys think that the rule setters are just intentionally doing whatever they're doing, or are they just terribly unlucky?
Maybe a bit of both. Let's just say a bit of both. So now, like, there was this, there were these two people that not from my school. It's something a friend told me about. Okay, So what happened with her school was there were these two students, and I know her pretty well. And so there used to be this thing when we were in grade 7, 8, that the best time pass that the students thought that there could be during break time was to go kiss each other in the washroom or outside. Really,
Wait,
really.
we're gonna censor this and put Play Among Us. Play Among Us.
Yeah.
The break
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Among
I
Us.
will wait.
Emergency.
So,
Among
so,
Us.
so what used to happen? So this one fine day, they were like, they had this break time, right? So, what do we do, right? So they went to the kindergarten washroom because the boys and the girls' washroom used to be very close by. The boy will act like he's going to the boys' bathroom, but he doesn't. He goes to the girls' bathroom, and then they go into a nice cubicle and play Among Us. Yes.
Let's Among Us.
But then there was this one Kharoos teacher who the entire school was scared of. I think the principal was also scared of her, like with that level. So she decides that today I will go from that hallway. And I think either someone tipped her off. I'm not sure as to how she got to know. I feel like someone tipped her off about this. And she goes straight into that girl's washroom and catches the both of them and she pulled them out. Okay? Literally pulls them out and they go directly to principal's office.
So she was the
Oh, yeah?
imposter.
Exactly. I was going to say.
Very flashbacks, remember?
So what happens is, how there's a rule setting story over here is, just around that time, all the ministry decides that now is the time that schools should get cameras all over the place. Okay? So what happens? These
The
stories are
washrooms.
such, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay?
You go
And
like
these
you go like
stories-
coincidence? I think not. I don't think.
Yeah. So that's what happened. So now that had such an overlap that to the date we think it's because of them that all schools now have cameras everywhere, like
I can't-
entrances, bathroom entrances, hallways, cafeterias,
I can't
everywhere.
imagine. I can't imagine the principal next day in the assembly going like, "Guys, please don't play Among Us."
Yeah.
Did you guys have one of the stories about? This is very common, right? This is why I just thought of it. Science lab when I was in 10th grade. Okay, science
Oh,
lab.
yeah.
Sorry, chemistry lab. Chemistry lab.
Yeah.
Breaking the test tubes.
I mean, you think that's my chemistry lab experience, and I love telling this story, right? So once we had this innovator thing like the same week, so I was like, I'm going to do this experiment in the chemistry lab, okay? And it's basically you're doing electrolysis of water, so you're getting oxygen and hydrogen.
Yo,
gas.
please.
Simple.
Yeah,
but
Have some
during
mercy. Have
lectures.
some mercy, please.
Yeah, please.
Okay, oxygen. Basically, you're making oxygen and hydrogen gas with electricity, right? So I'm with my physics sir because they won't let me be there alone, and a lab assistant is there, and I've got my best friend here because I was like, this is very interesting. This is revolutionary. You're going to see it. Okay, so we are over there, and this small plastic. We're lucky it was plastic jar. We are doing electrolysis of water, and I had this whole mechanism of preventing it from any sort of accident and everything. But my physics was there, and he was like, you know what? Let's just test it first. Let's just see if there is a pop sound because it's hydrogen gas. And he takes a lighter, and there is this small container, and hydrogen and oxygen gas together basically makes rocket fuel. He is nicely bringing this lighter close to that box. It's filled with that gas, and the thing just explodes. Like from one corner of the chemistry lab, there were shards of plastic all around the room, and the explosion was so loud. I think it was heard until the end of both corridors, and people came running to the lab to find out what happened. The
Weren't you
lab
like
assistant-
standing in front of it?
we were standing, and we had no safety gear, right? And then it has some very very strong. I think it had, potassium hydroxide in it, so it was it's a very it's a strong base, but luckily pani enough so we didn't get hurt. And like my friend, he was a little away, he actually saw a cloud being formed there, like an actual proper cloud. And basically all of this happens, and we are that lucky that the same day the parent teacher forum is having their meeting, and the entire parent council comes running to find out what happens. Okay, and they have locked us inside the chemistry lab. They have locked the four of us inside the lab. They don't want anyone to come in and see what happened. And after some time, when they open us, the chemistry teacher comes in. She's making a stand, and this is what she says: "This is the chemistry lab. It is not a place to do experiments."
Oh,
That's it.
What?
So yeah,
Wow, that is
I'll
powerful,
repeat that.
Pratbhai.
Oh
It is a
God.
chemistry lab, not a place to do experiments. This is the this is how we change
Okay.
the rules at school. Yeah,
No, for chemistry teachers, your skin, eyes, your health doesn't matter. Test tube को कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए.
Ah,
Test
yeah,
yes,
tube should be
exactly.
fine.
Test
yeah.
tube, nothing should happen.
Test tube is valued more than your life. So please.
Any day,
that is true.
I mean, once the same thing. Like I remember, like I haven't gone to lab much because it's mostly online classes. But once I went like ending of grade 8. So what happened was like my teacher was next to me, and my chemistry was like actually rude to me. But for the first time, she became nice to me. She's like, I don't know. For the first time, she called me Adi. She's like, can you fill this test tube with water? And she was also back to me. All right. I took the test tube. I was like opening the. I was like so happy. Like she was being nice to me for the first time. I went to the that water thing. Okay, what do you call that? Pipe. And then I put on full force. The test tube gets filled, and then the water goes to her face. She got so pissed at me that
Wow.
I don't know.
But it's like I feel all of us have been through an experience where we're in a situation where we mess things up for other people.
yeah.
I mean, at least some of us have. I mean,
Yeah.
but this is the thing. I mean, this is a universal thing. So I would like now we would we've talked enough. I think we would now go to the last segment, which is this is the first podcast, the first episode of Tangled Talks, and I'm just gonna hand it over to the co-founders and let them give a short introduction about what Tangled is, and I'll hand it over to Rishabh.
Sure thing. So Tangled is basically the world's first peer learning platform. Right? So we are a platform where anyone between 13 to 23 can conduct their own classes and teach anything that they're interested in. And anyone between 7 to 21 can learn for absolutely free. And what we're doing is we're actually gamifying a platform to make learning super interesting and super fun for the students. I'll let Quires talk a little bit more about the gamification. And I can come back and talk about our values.
Sure, we have like a lot of elements when it comes to gamification because we think our normal classes are just getting a little too boring. Because I'm used to sleeping more than listening now. And so what we have in mind is like, leaderboards, using apps that have already, have like games with it. They're Quizalize, Edpuzzle, they're like a variety of apps that our students would be trained to use so that the overall learning experience is better. Then there are tokens and points that you gain when you, perform well and use the discussion forum a lot. Then there's this particular token called the Tangled tokens, and this is what you use to get in the classes. This is like your currency on the platform, and so we're absolutely making it so that students have a certain ownership over what they're learning, and they're actually interested, and they can gain any skill that they'd like on the platform, and other students can come and teach and give workshops and gain that experience, which is also very important.
After all, what we're doing is we're basically building a youth culture where we're building a community where the creativity of teenagers around all the world, and we're building a community and a voice for all of them. So I mean, we all have one friend who teaches us one day before the exam. So what we wanted to bring this segment into real life, and that's exactly Tangle. I mean, even if you want to get better in studies, I mean, courses for that are there: math, science, physics, or whatever is there. And I mean, we've had the privilege of meeting some incredible people amongst all this journey. So in this journey, we have the experience, learn, celebrate, and we all have all these confusions together. So
Yeah,
that's building
absolutely.
Tangle.
That's the best part about Tangle. We believe in communities, we believe in learning together, and we believe in growing together. And best part is we do it in a platform that's absolutely safe and fun. Yeah.
To sum it up,
That's great.
I would say that it's more of decentralization of education, more like how cryptocurrencies evolved, and Tangled is like the cryptocurrency of education.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
That's great.
So
That's great. So
apart from Tangled, I'd also like to add that we're going to keep making podcasts over here about different experiences that we're facing as students or because of the education system or anything that is sort of related to what as students or as the Gen Z we're going through, and we're going to be discussing it over here. So, subscribe to the channel and be sure to wait for all the other podcasts.
All right, we will see you guys next time.